the $1 Million Mortgage Experience podcast. All right, welcome to today's podcast. We're here with Alex Sonkin. He's the founder of Virtual Family Office Hub, as well as the Due Diligence Project, which is a revolutionary platform and a community of elite CPA firms, law firms, family offices, and best-in-class specialty firms. Welcome to the show, Alex.
Thanks so much for having me, John.
Absolutely.
Pleasure.
We finally made it happen.
We did. We made it happen.
Yes.
Your schedule is crazy. My schedule is crazy, but I've been looking forward to this.
Yes. So thanks for coming on, and tell us how you got into this field. I mean, it's a few different things, all kind of with an umbrella. So talk to us how you got into
Yeah,
this.
it's not something that I even planned on getting into because I started out as a options trader in Chicago. I graduated from University of Michigan Business School and got a job for a French bank. They taught me how to make markets on the floors of Chicago. It's like a job I don't even think it exists anymore because everything's gone off the floors now. But I started down there, and that's how I got my feet wet in the financial services industry. And what we tried to do down there was basically buy options below value and sell them above value simultaneously. And we had options
within seconds, or
within the same second, because
wow.
The Chicago Board of Trade, Chicago Board of Options Exchange, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange had very similar options being traded on multiple exchanges. And so we had traders at the Mercantile Exchange, we had traders at the CBOE, and we were all trading the S&P 500 option. So there's traders in two pits, and there we would communicate with brokers on the phones and with hand signals. So if you could buy that same option at the Mercantile Exchange at one price and sell it simultaneously at the CBOE at another price, you're just making money.
This is true arbitrage.
This is pure
Instant
arbitrage, right?
Yeah.
And so what would happen is, they would hire a bunch of math geeks from all these top schools, and you'd be down on the floors with all these other people who aren't math geeks, and they're just trading futures. They're just
got
betting.
loud voices and stuff. Right?
Well, there's loud, athletic, people in the pits competing, and then there's the math geeks doing all the option calculations. And so the game was to do the arbitrage, and if you couldn't get the arbitrage, you would try to buy it below value or sell it above value, and then manage this position and ultimately take it off over time. But the idea was to create profit without risk. And so when I met attorneys who were helping clients reduce their taxes and charging fees, I wasn't an attorney at the time. I thought that was a really cool idea because they were on it doing the very similar thing with the tax code.
Yeah.
They would look in the tax code, recommend a strategy, charge a fee, and instead of paying the tax, the client would pay a fee. So fast forward years later, I left the floor, moved to California, and started building family offices and working with CPA firms, and realizing that when we put on events for CPAs and flew in elite attorneys, elite speakers, based on the Q&A, there's a lot of information that we thought CPAs had known that they didn't really know.
Really?
And then we discovered that only 18% of Fortune 500 companies know how to zero out their tax returns, meaning 82% of the most profitable companies in the world have no idea how to zero out their tax returns. So it's like, these are the most profitable companies owned by billionaires.
And they're still not using the tax
and
code.
82% don't have anything close to the result that 18% do every single year. So what's the disconnect? The disconnect is no one knows how many pages are in the tax code. So one CPA firm can look in the tax code and they have no idea how many pages there are. They have no idea how many strategies there are. And even if they did, they wouldn't know who to call. Because for a CPA firm to recommend something, they have to actually speak with people who have experience in that strategy. Maybe it's the tax attorney that designed it. Maybe it's other CPAs have used it, have experience with audit and tax court. They're going to have to ask a lot of questions, get their questions answered, and then go back to the tax code, review it, and then decide to recommend this idea to their client or not. That's a lot of time and work and energy. And CPAs don't have the time. They don't have the resources, and they're spread so thin just trying to produce tax returns and financial statements. They don't have the vehicle to complete due diligence at a high level. And so what we realized was we could be the intermediary between all these different resources, all these different tax attorneys and specialists, introduce them to these CPA firms, and then document all the Q&A between the CPA firms, and then basically hold that information and share that, aggregate it and share it with new CPAs. And this is all we do. So we're basically built a due diligence facility for the smartest tax geeks in the world to come in and really participate in this due diligence project, similar to like an Amazon or Netflix independent peer review. The way we buy things on Amazon, the way we watch movies on Netflix, we want to see 5,000 people watch the movie, 9 out of 10 stars, or buy things on Amazon app, 4.9 out of 5 stars. Hopefully there's over 5,000 reviews. That gives us confidence. We essentially created that same ranking and rating system for CPA firms when it comes into diving into the tax code and reviewing and analyzing hundreds or even thousands of strategies.
Wow. That's a lot. That's cool.
It's a lot, but it became useful.
And how long you been doing it? Or when did you start this type of
great question. Yeah, so
platform?
I started in the financial service industry in 1994. So what are we
24. So you're, what's that?
30 years?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've been doing this for 30 years. The last 17 years, I've been really working closely with CPA firms.
Nice, 17, okay.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff going on with taxes, right? So we just heard Trump say he might just do away with the federal tax, right? And then do tariffs. Who knows if that could work, but sounds like a good idea, right? Or like no tax on tips. There's some stuff that he's throwing out there, which we all know, that definitely could buy votes in a sense, but also, the tax code is one of those things that is very, if you have a good tax lawyer, you have a good CPA, you can avoid taxes based on the code legally.
Correct.
And a lot of people out there who are not self-employed, they just get stuck with the W-2 taxes, and it is what it is. I mean, you can write some stuff off even if you're W-2'd, right? To some extent, but it affects every single one of us because we all pay taxes every year, and whether you like where your tax money is going to or not, it just is what it is. Like they say, death and taxes, right? It's the two things you can't avoid. But you're helping big businesses not avoid, I shouldn't say a word avoid, but strategically change their end result as far as what their tax.
Our clients are CPAs. So they're and we support hundreds of CPA firms. We had 847 CPA firms participate in our Due Diligence Project Summit in 2020. Making it the largest independent peer review event of the year. So their biggest clients could come from all these different industries. And so we're serving the CPAs who are serving all the business owners. And some of these are small business owners, some of these are billionaires, some of these are centimillionaires, some of these are famous actors, actresses, athletes. But our job is to service these CPAs so they can actually go back to their client who's paying tax on $250,000 a year, as little as that.
Right.
And help them eliminate 30-40% of their tax bill to help save for retirement.
Right.
The money stays in our communities. Some of these programs help benefit charities. Those charities are flourishing in our communities. So the idea is to help the business owner. The idea is to help the families.
Sure.
Just use the tax code. Just use the legal
it's there
avenues.
For a reason,
Right. It's like you could pay tax or you can make a donation to a charity.
Yeah.
The tax code allows you to do that. You can pay tax or you can hire an employee.
Yeah.
Right off that, all of a sudden now you created another
job,
another family is being supported. So this is really life. This is fuel for making our communities a better place.
So it makes me think of this show that I just recently started watching called Trust. Have you seen that?
No.
So it's about the Gettys.
Okay.
We all know who the Gettys were, right?
Sure.
And John Paul Getty, and there's a scene where he's teaching his grandson about how his companies work, and how he basically never makes any income. All of his money goes from, the oil company to the shipping company to the processing company to the all the whole circle, right? And you're just like, and that's in the tax code, and I was just like, wow, the richest man in the world at the time paid zero tax,
right?
And so. I don't know. We can get into the depth of, how or why that, someone wrote that code, or, is it just a thing that, go ahead.
John, if you were a king, let's say you're a king of a country,
yep.
And you said, I want to put together a tax code, and you gave your smartest tax guy, here, I'm going to give you a year or a month, come back with a tax code. You could come back, it could be done in a week. It could be
especially with ChatGPT now. Right?
It could be a one-pager.
Right.
A one-pager that says these are the rules. Everyone pays 10% of your income in tax. There's no deductions, or we're going to do everything sales tax.
Yep.
It could be really simple.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be a 1,000,000-page document.
Right.
And because it's a 1,000,000-page document, it's written and designed by who? It's written and designed by attorneys working in Congress who are still partners in law firms that are out there litigating. So their partners are making the laws in Congress, and then their partners that are in the private practice are out there litigating these laws, and these law firms are getting richer and richer and richer because those laws are very complex.
Yeah.
And only really sophisticated CPAs and attorneys can figure it out. So these very, very wealthy people, if they can hire the best CPA firms and law firms and a team that's hopefully a CPA firm that's plugged into an independent peer review community like ours, that's really ripping the tax code apart, then they could find avenues to move down the tax code and create legal deductions and avoid paying taxes. And some people are just moving all their income to a country like Ireland or some of these other low tax countries where they're diverting their income from the United States, not paying high tax, and moving it to a country at a 1% tax bracket.
Right.
So all these things are in the tax code. All that our government has to do is write a one-pager.
They could change it all.
They could eliminate all this nonsense, but they don't.
They don't. They choose not to. Yeah.
They choose not to, and so we have to play this game because they're creating this game for us, and we're just jumping in through their hoops.
So there's no pay your fair share. It's just pay your, that's just doesn't exist in the United States.
Really. I think pay your fair share. At the end of the day, I think the tax code makes sense. Yeah. Because everyone's paying their fair share, and if you can find legal deductions, that move money around, that they're forcing you to make charitable contributions, or forcing you to do various investments, or forcing you to hire more employees, or doing all these different things, all those things create other activity, other taxable income for the government. So, I don't think there's loopholes in the tax code that just eliminate tax where no one's benefiting.
Right.
It's just different kinds of benefits that benefit society, and those rules and laws are put in there by Congress.
Yeah. Yeah. So like when Hillary came after Trump about that, he's like, if you don't like it, change. You could have changed it. Yeah.
Right. We're following the. It's like people can not like the speed limit. It's like if it's 45, it's 45. If you're going 46, you're breaking the law. If you're going 44, you're not breaking the law. So it's like. There's nothing emotional about the law. Trump either broke the law or he didn't. There's no gray area in the tax code.
Right.
People who say things like gray area, that's just people who don't really understand, the law.
Yeah. Right.
It's
just the area that they haven't seen.
Right.
They haven't read the 1,000,000-page document.
Or it's an area that they have some ideas about. They have 10 questions that they don't know who to call to answer those questions. And if they got answers to those 10 questions, then they'd be like, okay, it's either black or white.
And the big IRS seems kind of scary sometimes.
They're
like,
well, that's their go-to. Right. They know the IRS knows that they're scary. So they play that game, and it's scary to get these letters. And a lot of times people know they're cutting corners. They're doing things that are, not clean.
Because they just haven't paid someone that knows the law to take care of
stuff. And they're scared, and they're like, we know we're doing something wrong. We don't know what the right thing to do is.
We feel like we're in the gray, but we don't. But it's
right.
That's because we haven't done our due diligence. Right?
Exactly. So due diligence on tax planning is very hard.
Yeah.
And our job as a community is to make it simple, and that's really what we're doing. And we don't do anything else. Nice. So we're just constantly, CPAs don't have time to do this, but our clients are the CPA firms. They rely on us to create this facility, but the work is still done by the CPAs, by the attorneys, by the specialists. It's just we're reducing their time to complete the due diligence. We say by a factor of 10, it's more like a factor of 100, and we are increasing their confidence. We say by a factor of 10, but it's more like a factor of 100 because once they have this community around them, it's really easy.
Yeah.
It'll take them 5 minutes to speak to the right person or speak to a couple CPAs who've had this experience, speak to the specialist, get their questions answered, look at our notes that we've been compiling for 17 years and go, okay, based on all this, I can see why these CPAs are comfortable signing that tax return.
That makes sense, yeah.
But one of the other things that's happening is people are very motivated to not pay tax. CPAs who aren't plugged in.
It's a big deal when you write that check.
It's a big deal.
Hurts a little bit.
It's a big deal. And so they know, like Zuckerberg, Bezos, some of these billionaires aren't paying any taxes. They're looking for tax strategies. Their CPA's too busy. They're not plugged in. And then they go out looking for tax strategies from other resources who are not set up.
Sure.
But they're set up to sell them some tax strategy. But is it clean? Is it good? They don't know. And now they're in a position of risk.
Yeah.
So now they may show it to their CPA. Their CPA is like, I don't know. I don't like this. They don't have time to really review it. They're going to roll the dice and do it and potentially get in trouble.
Yeah.
Because now they're listening to someone who is maybe just a broker or selling financial strategies without a network of CPAs to review them, to ask those questions to make sure that they're clean or done properly or done by the top people in that space who actually know what they're doing and have been through audits and know how to win these audits if they happen.
That's great. It's good information. And so for like an average, let's say you're a real estate professional, you're a mortgage broker, someone listening to this podcast, you know, you got a few options. You can go to TurboTax, you can go to your local CPA, you can go to, you know, the guy on the corner. What does someone do? Like, are you able to help people like us find the right type of CPA, or do you have a network that you could point someone to? Like, or do you just go for the big guys, like KPMG or whatever?
No. We have the largest network of CPA firms in the country. So our job is not to steal clients for CPAs and move them to other CPAs. That is not what we do. We prefer, when we meet a business owner, we'll tell them, this is what we do. We don't work with people like you, but what we'd recommend is we introduce your CPA to us. You may have a CPA that's like the super fancy $50,000 cell phone, but they're plugged into Joe's cell phone service, and that's all you get. You need to plug them into Verizon. You need to plug them into the largest network of CPAs and resources in the country where we're doing all this vetting. So we take your CPA, plug them in our system, have them review a bunch of videos and data, take them through our educational system and show them how to complete all the due diligence. Now they're ready to go. You already trust your CPA. You don't have to meet a new one.
Got it.
But if you're not happy with your CPA or you're really, my CPA is really screwed up many, many times, can you recommend someone? Well, that's more efficient for us because we don't have to train them. We'll recommend one of our top.
You already have someone in your network.
We have hundreds of them.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of you clicking with them personality-wise, but they're already trained. Yeah. They're ready to go to help, bring massive value to the table. So we have those are the two options.
So tell us about VFO and the Due Diligence Project.
So the Virtual Family Office Hub was the initial holding company. That's kind of what we first started. So our idea was to take CPAs, elite CPAs, train them, give them resources, education, and convert them into virtual family offices supported by best-in-class peer-reviewed resources that could be anywhere around the country. So our idea was, where are the best attorneys? Where are the best specialists? Where are the best people in the country at all these different things that they do for tax, for cost elimination, for financial services? They could be anywhere. So if you're running a family office that serves millionaires, centimillionaires, multimillionaires, those family offices traditionally are localized. They're W-2 people coming into a family office. They can be very expensive to operate for very wealthy families. And our idea was, hey, let's take your CPA and build out a virtual family office under your CPA, because your CPA is doing the heavy lifting anyway. But now we're going to outfit that CPA firm with the best resources that could be anywhere in the world. Kind of like Lego pieces. Now you can custom build your Lego piece family office.
Plug and play. Yeah.
And the best attorney in the world in that specialty is in New York. The other best attorney in a different specialty is going to be in California. But they could still be part of your family office if your CPA has them in their network. So the Virtual Family Office Hub was designed to build family offices under CPAs with best-in-class peer-reviewed resources, and that we realized what we were really doing was due diligence. And so we created a due diligence project as kind of what we do inside the Virtual Family Office Hub. So that became more of a marketing website, tip of the spear, to introduce what we do to CPAs, potentially consumers, even though we're not really end user focused.
It's cool. Yeah, I mean, you think of CPAs, it's like I don't ever look forward, my CPA, to like having those meetings, right? It's just like it's just so much numbers, and you're going through it, and it's like, when are we done? But you've kind of taken it in a way and made it, I don't know if to say sexy, but in a way it's like Yeah, because you're doing strategies versus like, I don't know.
It's kind of fun and sexy. I mean, look, we focus on making it fun because this part of CPA work is actually fun. Like putting together a financial statement, telling you how much money you owe is not fun.
Right.
But showing you a way to reduce your taxable income by 50, 60, 80%, that's a fun conversation.
Right.
So this is what we're doing. And we're doing the other fun stuff we're doing is some of the things we're doing for CPAs. You know, one of our strategies is a film debt financing structure where we financed so many Hollywood movies this last year. We were invited to go to the Cannes Film Festival.
Nice.
So some of our CPAs, some of our partners, I wasn't able to go because we were busy with our kids' graduation stuff.
Right.
But they're in the south of France at yacht parties at the Cannes Film Festival because we took boring.
Doesn't suck.
Right. So that's what it was like. We took boring tax planning and convert. Now you're a producer in a movie with Mel Gibson in it, and you're going to the Cannes Film Festival, and you're going to meet all these other people in the film industry.
Yeah.
So that's kind of fun. You know, and our investors get a 4-to-1 deduction. So they invest $1 million, they get a $4 million deduction and equity in a movie with a $1 billion film production company that really knows what they're doing, and they've produced, you know, over 60 successful films that make money. So now
you can get a deduction and you can make money and you can be part of a movie.
Right. So if you're in California, you know, a lot of people are in a 50% tax bracket or higher.
Yeah.
So this puts you in a 25% tax bracket and gives you equity in a movie that will most likely make money.
Nice.
So those are,
and you don't care if it does because you've already said, you know.
You don't care if it does. So this is like, if I looked at our strategies, this would be our sixth most interesting strategy from an ROI perspective. We have things way sexier than that, but that's still, the film industry is kind of sexy and fun. So yeah. We
especially
take CPA
in Cannes, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what's fun is like we'll take CPAs who've been in the industry 20, 30 years who may be getting burnt out, but they're really good at what they do, and they plug into our system, and all of a sudden they're starting to do this planning and proactive planning, which re-energizes them.
Yep.
And allows them to really do something very different than what we were doing before. Instead of having these really tough conversations, Jon, this is your bill.
You're gonna have to write a big check. I'm like,
it's going to be way bigger than you thought because you did really well this year, Jon.
Right.
So that's a fun conversation, but you're not going to leave feeling really good.
No, I don't. I'm not into that at all. Trust me, I do like having good roads, but you know, you look at places like Florida or I lived in Nashville for a little while. There's 0 state tax.
Yeah.
You know, there's Florida, 0 state tax. I've driven in both of those states. The roads are better than they are in California. You know, that's just one part of where the money goes, right? You know, you look at the homeless problem here.
Yeah.
You're like, how many billions are they spending on that of our money? And it's just going to shit. It's like it keeps getting worse and worse and worse. So it doesn't give me any joy to pay my tax bill to California because it's like, and then if you want to move out of the state, they're going to come after you and they're going to.
The joke is if the weather patterns in California changed,
80%
of the people would move like in an hour.
Right.
In an hour. Like we're here for the weather, it's just weather. So if you have an elite CPA and you plug them in the Due Diligence Project, I'm telling you can stay in California. It's not going to change the legal system, but it'll allow you to live here.
Yep.
You know, we're not going to get in that whole conversation.
No, I mean, you know, and I think that the problem is like we've seen all these rich people moving out of California. That just is what happens, right? When and they want to clamp you down and they want to keep you, you know, in California. Like you said, the weather patterns change. It's like
the traffic is getting better.
Yeah,
but as those rich people are leaving, it's leaving more of a burden on the ones who are staying.
Yeah.
You know, who are picking up a bigger percentage of that tax.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's an interesting puzzle.
Yep.
A little house of cards.
It is. Yeah. I don't. We can't solve it right here.
We can't solve it right here.
Your project is helping for sure. I mean, from what it sounds like,
it's making a difference. We're very proud of it. You know, we're very proud of supporting there's some local charities that are kind of, by the way, are benefiting from the things that we're doing because we have some programs that benefit charities. We're really excited about that. You know, it's been fun.
That's cool. So our listeners, a lot of them are mortgage brokers. A lot of them get business from CPAs. But then there's probably a good portion of listeners that are like, God, I wish I could get business from CPAs. Yeah. How do I go about meeting them? How do I go about cracking that kind of, because there are different, individual, right? They're not a salesperson. They're not someone that's going to be quick to go, like schmooze you, go golfing with you or whatever. They're usually doing their thing and they're studious type of people. But like, give us some tips on what you would do if you were a mortgage broker or someone that was looking to get referrals.
Absolutely. So the key to relationship building with CPAs is a formula that was made famous by Anthony Lombardi, who was a SFC dad. And he taught this to me, and it's really trust plus value.
Okay.
So you got to trust plus value equals success. So you could build relationships with CPAs and be friends with them, go golfing with them, go to dinner, and that's cool. But unless there's value, you can only build trust. So the value here, how can a mortgage broker bring value to a CPA? Obviously, they know you want the referrals and all these different things. What we're doing, and we work with a lot of Goldman Sachs guys and financial brokers, working with huge banks, and essentially we're all in the kind of relationship business, but the commodity business. And so what they're doing, what we're helping them do, is create value by introducing these CPAs to the Due Diligence Project.
Okay.
So what we're doing is very, very unique. We don't really have any competition. We become very valuable to that CPA. So if you're a mortgage broker and you're working with CPAs, focus on that relationship, take them golfing, take them out, but introduce them to the Due Diligence Project. Introduce them to me.
Yep.
And let me do the hard work for you, create that value. That now relationship is going to be for that trust plus value formula is going to be there. We're going to be that value piece, and they're going to remember that relationship came from that mortgage broker. So referring back to that mortgage broker, because a lot of things we do in tax planning, sometimes it involves loans, sometimes it involves debt, sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
But that, to me, the trust plus value formula is consistent. It works. And because we don't have any competition, we become very, very valuable to that CPA.
That's cool. It seems like it could be a daunting thing where, like, what I'm saying by that is, okay, I'm a mortgage broker. I'm going to introduce them to my CPA to you.
Yeah.
They're going to have to do all these classes and all these things, right? So that's kind of the thought that comes across my mind. Talk about how do you make it easier for the CPA, or do you make it do you have a quick path to success for them to where they're like, God, thank you, mortgage broker, for introducing me,
See, I built the business, the way I would want to learn, and I'm kind of ADD. Like, I'm not the kind of guy that you're not going to put me in a conference and make me sit there for 3 days and expect me not, like,
because they already have their hours they got to do, right?
I'm a very action-oriented person. So I didn't want the education process to be long and winded because I want to get right to the point. I'm right to the point. The CPAs get right to the point. So what we've done, our website and our education is really very, very efficient. Sometimes we could take a CPA that doesn't even plug into our website. CPA's got a client who's selling a business for $50 million, huge tax liability. What do? That conversation, we can give them kind of an outline of 2, 3, 4 ideas, get them one-on-one with the specialists on those ideas, have them maybe complete 2 rounds of conversations where they get to ask their questions, hear the answers, do another round of questions, hear those answers. And at that point, they're probably 90% ready to go about which particular strategy without ever going to our website, without watching our stuff. So we've organized all the stuff on the website where they can quickly watch quick overviews or in-depth detail. So
is there also like a searchable thing? I know we were talking offline about AI, and is there some stuff that you guys are working on with that, like to make it kind of quick and easy for a CPA, like tools for CPAs? And
what we are doing is constantly just, CPA's time and attention is very scarce. So what we're constantly doing is highlighting the top 10 or top 8 ideas. And once a CPA learns them, it's not like they have to relearn them.
Yeah.
So the only education
see if it applies to
right. The real education happens when a new CPA plugs in. So once a CPA plugs in and we're teaching them 8, 10 strategies that are the hottest strategies, we might end up teaching them 1 or 2 strategies the following year if we pick up some new ones.
Right.
It's not as daunting as it seems, and that's our job. Our job is to make that process so efficient where they're like, this is awesome.
It's cool. It's great. I mean, this is all stuff that people need to learn. And so do you actually put on conferences too, or no?
We do.
You do. Is that only like CPA invite only, or is there like other industries that show up?
It's CPAs show up. Sometimes other industries show up.
Finance people.
Sometimes CPAs clients show up. It's
They're like,
really,
what is this?
Right. It's really for CPAs.
Are you really going to save me $1 million this year? Yeah.
People are very interested in what we're doing. And the people who really can utilize it are the CPAs. But everyone's interested in it because everyone's trying to do due diligence on what we're doing.
Yeah.
Any client, anyone that you run into who has had a liquidity event or has high income, they're literally trying to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
They're trying to
searching high and low.
They're calling.
Do I need to move to Tahoe, or do I need to move?
It's just, no, you have to go deep. You have to go wide. You have to, you can't get scared of getting your hands dirty. Because in this business, the reason I don't have a lot of competition is no one wants to get their hands dirty with this stuff, because you dive in there. It's very, very technical. You better know what you're doing. You better arm yourself with the very, very best people. And the tax code's changing too. Yeah. So we have.
How often does it change? Because I don't really know anything about how it changes, but is it like every year there's a new tax code? Or?
When the CARES Act came out because of the COVID stuff, they were changing those rules every 3 weeks.
Oh wow.
So you would how do
you even keep up with that?
Right. You would have to keep up with those rules and then do your tax planning in the fourth quarter as rules are changing, like right at that moment.
So it's real time. So
it's
you could
real
screw
time
up and then you could get caught.
Right. CPA's job is incredibly challenging.
Wow.
They're not the best salespeople. They're not best storytellers. So their clients don't even know what the CPA is doing. They're not communicating.
Yeah. Right.
But what they're doing is so hard. Yeah. It's crazy. And so we built this community to make their jobs easier and more effective.
That's cool.
The good news is the IRS agents, they don't know the tax law either.
They don't.
They don't know.
Even less. Yeah.
There's 85,000 new ones. I mean, it's very, like if any listener just wants to just Google the IRS tax code and just go to any page and just start reading and just be like, my CPA has to know this. This has to make sense to someone. And this
so they need some help for sure.
Well, the thing is, CPAs come into that space, and when they first become CPAs, they know if they want to do this or not. So a lot of people like in the first minute will be like, I'm out. Yeah. First accounting class.
Yeah, like I have a friend whose son went to college, and then they started doing that, and they're like, changing my major.
Right. You go, I'm going to do it. First accounting class, and like 90% of the people, they're done. I'm never doing that again. I'm moving on with my life. Yeah. The ones who stay, they're there for a reason, and all of a sudden, so when we get CPAs, they already know, like they know quite a bit of the tax code. They know that they don't know the tax code.
Right.
That's what they know, but they've seen it.
Right.
And then we start to dial in. And they know a couple sections, and then we show them here. Every one of our specialists, they can only know one or two sections of the tax code really well.
Yep.
And that's why it's like one CPA can't know the whole thing.
Right.
And that's why you really need
these big firms, right? Like this guy's, for this guy, product law, this guy's,
But John, this is what I thought too. The big firms are some of the worst.
Because they turn them into mills,
because the big firms. What happens is these big firms, they make so much money. Mm-hmm. They have no motivation to try to complete due diligence on every kind of tax strategy in the world.
So it's not necessarily the best choice to just say, I'm going to go to the biggest.
It's like basically what the kind of personality that you want in a CPA is this humble, hardworking, curious personality. Yeah. Where it's like if you're a huge firm, and you're a multi-billion-dollar firm, right? Let's just say you're a multi-billion-dollar firm. Yep. And you need to learn 10 new strategies because someone's like, hey, you got to learn these 10 new strategies and figure out if they're good or not. Right. Well, what if you're wrong? Yeah. What if you don't know that there's a due diligence facility with hundreds and hundreds of independent CPA firms, and you're just one big firm, KPMG, Deloitte, and you're all W-2 employees. And one of the partners is like, no, I like this strategy. If you're just a manager in that CPA firm, and one of the partners likes a strategy, and you have like 1 million, and you hate the strategy, what are you going to do? You're like, hey, I think the strategy sucks.
Yeah, you're not going to say that.
No. Mm-mm. So this is one of the issues of big W-2 firms. Whereas if you have that same community of elite CPAs in the Due Diligence Project, all representing their own firms, they don't care about stepping on each other's toes and be like, hey, that strategy sucks. We're all going to go to jail.
If you do that, yeah.
If you do that,
Right.
let's have a conversation. See, it gets messy. It's
Yeah.
like hard conversations with your spouse. Unless you have them, the marriage is going to potentially go sideways. Like,
yeah.
you can't just avoid conversations and think everything's going to go fine.
Right.
And that's what people do because there's risk. So if you're that
They
big
don't wanna
firm,
rock the boat.
they don't want to rock the boat. The other thing is, we're already a multi-billion-dollar firm. What if we review these 10 things and we're wrong and we start recommending a strategy that causes all these issues for us? Do we really care that some of our clients
take
are
that risk? Yeah.
Why do we care if some of our clients are paying more tax than they should?
Yeah.
Let's protect.
We're still getting paid the same.
Right. We're a multi-billion-dollar firm.
Right.
We're bigger than these people. So that's what I'm saying is like when you have a hungry CPA, not hungry, but I mean curious. They're
That's a
just
good word,
trying to do a good thing they're not trying to build their firm into a $1 trillion company.
Right.
See, a lot of people don't realize law firms' primary responsibility is to protect the law firm.
Yeah.
When you ask an attorney a question, their first thought is how to protect myself and my firm.
Right.
Second thought is how do I answer your question?
Yeah, and help you.
So right away, people don't even understand that.
Yeah.
Like you need an intermediary in there.
Yep.
Who does that? We do that.
Yeah.
Okay. CPAs are not like that. You ask a CPA a question, they're going to answer that question, use it. So there's a way, and that's why we started getting involved in the family office world. Because like in the family office world, there needs to be a teamwork and organization and hierarchies of who's running things. And what we realized was the tax planning inside these family offices that's the differentiating factor.
Yeah.
They all have access to investments, other family offices, ideas, and sometimes due diligence on investments are just very difficult to read anyway.
Right.
Whereas we can look and we can create ROI, a very simple formula, show this strategy to as many independent CPA tax geeks as possible, have them review it, complete their due diligence, and we're going to get to the bottom line. Like, you can't just keep showing this to CPAs and be like, yeah, whatever. They're going to have an opinion on it. And those the cumulative result of all those opinions creates ROI. Because if we look at a tax strategy, say, here's the benefits, here's the cost, what's the risk? Well, here's how we calculate the risk.
Yep.
And once we calculate the risk, we actually know the ROI.
Exactly.
And we're the only entity that's creating ROI because we could look at the benefits and say, hey, you could pay this fee and avoid paying this kind of tax. There's your ROI. And the way we've eliminated this risk is you've had 650 CPAs review it and go, this is awesome. We blessed this.
That's cool. Talk about AI, because AI will be able to read that tax code within minutes, if maybe not minutes, but seconds. And then do you think AI will be able to then say, here's some real good strategies?
I think so. Look, I think the key to AI, what we're doing, right? So I live in this world of the biggest tax geeks in the world, like ranking them. Like we're ranking.
You're the number one geek.
No, I'm not. I'm just the intermediate.
Right. You're looking at the list.
Right.
Like,
no,
this is the number one.
So these people who really are fluent in the tax code they would have to program the AI and continue to
make
update,
sure it's right.
So AI would continue to update would continue reading the tax code as it's updated. But there's these nuances in there. I mean, if someone wanted to, the thing is that's risky. That would mean, because basically you would say like, it'd be like Goldman Sachs converting their business into AI. Like someone would have to be like, here's all the things that we do at Goldman Sachs that make us one of the most profitable investment banks in the world. All that, and we're going to program a computer to do that. Would they even want to do that? Because that would create competition for themselves.
Yeah.
And my thinking, would these elite tax planners go out, and I could see someone doing it.
I'm sure someone's going to try to use it as a helper, right? As like you need to read through this and just sort of ballpark stuff. And then you can double check, or what page is this on, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure there's people working on this.
There's people working on it 100%. Because this is definitely, like, the tax code is definitely a place where AI could.
Yeah. Because it's so complex. You need something smart as AI. Like, what are they saying the IQ now is on AI? I think they said it's like almost like it's Elon Musk, or it's like beyond now. But you're talking having, so if everyone could access someone's IQ that's that high, like.
I also think if you want to ask me this question, the reality is I really think once our generation is gone, I think the way the educational system is, we're going to be forced to rely on AI because I don't know if we're raising kids, if our educational system is raising kids that are going to be smarter.
ADD, it's like it's beyond ADD.
Well, what's going on right now in the marketplace? People they're not hiring millennials, and they're hiring old people. They're hiring Generation Xers right now because they're like,
there's not as many.
There's not that many, but if you hire Generation Xer, it'll get done.
Yeah,
and you don't have to worry about you don't have to worry about babysitting them.
Right.
Like they're educated, they come with morals, they know what to do. You don't need to tell them.
They still have a little fear, but they also want to go charge.
Right. If you walk by them and don't say hi, they're not going to call their mom and be like, I think I'm.
You don't put an emoji in the text, they're not going to be hurt.
So I mean, I don't know. I think with time, AI is going to be run a lot of stuff.
It's you could look at it as like this could be scary or this could be exciting, but ultimately we all have been raised on the movies of Terminator and all the Matrix. It's like, so you can see where it's going.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think it's an exciting time to accomplish these daunting tasks like the code. Like you need help, I think, and we're working on an AI tool for underwriting. I mean, it's going to happen. And if you're not in there and you're not working on it, someone else is going to do it and they're going to surpass you. And
I think what's going on, I think AI is pushing everyone to be more efficient in what they do. And for the time being, our business, the elite tax planners, are the ones with proactive tax planning ideas with access to due diligence. We're sitting in a very sweet spot.
Yep.
People are not going to trust computers to do their tax planning over humans. I don't see it in the next 5 years.
Then there's no one to believe. You can say, the computer did it, but they're like,
exactly.
You're responsible.
No, people want responsible. When you're talking about this kind of money, it's like people are coming in and they've worked their entire life to get to this point, and they need an elite tax planning team to do their work right now, or they're going to lose half of it.
Right.
True. Think about it.
Yeah.
That's what's going on. That's
big deal.
People are working their entire livelihood, their entire lives for moments.
Yep.
And we come in there and our team comes in there and does this work.
Yep.
That's just incredibly, so it's fun. It is fun. It's incredibly valuable. AI is definitely something we're thinking about and we're definitely using for marketing and stuff like that. But it's definitely exciting to see, what the future holds.
Yeah. A lot of our brokers do big loans. So and a lot of them are with entrepreneurs because our product revolves around, alternate documentation. Yeah. So we'll use like 12 or 24 months bank statements, whether it's business bank statements or personal bank statements, because a lot of our clients are not our clients, but their brokers' clients are actually working with people who are self-employed that are doing some of these tax strategies, maybe not yours, but they're doing some to the sense where they've greatly reduced their tax return burden, and that equates to not being able to qualify for the big home that they want to buy. So what could, say, one of our brokers that does the $5 million loans and the $4 million loans, what could they do to maybe help their clients probably already have a good CPA, but maybe they could bring value to their clients in other ways.
You nailed it. I mean, we get this a lot. This is an issue. What's funny, it's an issue. It's like, okay, we did tax planning, now I can't get a loan. It's like, wait a minute, that's the opposite. You should. So my message has been, and this is part me knowing you, is there's a lot of really creative brokers like you guys. And this is a great reason to work with CPA firms, especially elite CPA firms who are doing planning, because the elite business owners are not showing income.
Right.
For
and they're
strategically,
always looking for strategies too.
But the point is, if you're eliminating tax and you're creating all this liquidity and you're zeroing out your income, and that's creating a problem with the bank, you and I both know there's bankers and creative mortgage groups like yours that are really good with that and explaining it. Look, it's way better to the bank that your client has this much liquidity and didn't waste out millions of dollars in unnecessary taxes. It's going to help them pay off your loan better.
Right.
Why would it be better for them to pay the government and have less money to pay the loan off? How does that make any sense? Yeah. So the point is, the fact that your firm is really good at that is a huge asset to our CPAs and any CPA that's being proactive and creating so much value that this becomes an issue.
Yeah, and what's funny is sometimes, being in the chair of the broker, which we're not, we're the wholesale, but when I was in the chair of the broker, I'd always get this question where someone who's buying a $10 million house, they're saying, well, why can't I get the bank rate of, right now it's, say the bank rate would be like in the 6s and say we're in the 7s. So a broker might be like, look, yeah, you couldn't get your loan from Bank of America, which you've been with for 18 years, but I can get you a loan. It's 1% higher in rate. However, you are the type of person that doesn't have to pay all that tax. So you're saving in your taxes, but you might have a little higher interest rate. So you shouldn't shouldn't complain that much.
I think tax planning education for mortgage bankers would be valuable. And
like a small class where they can learn some really good quick tips.
Okay, which loans should we not do? Well, you should do loans when the guy is doing a creative legal tax structure.
Or take some of that money you saved on your taxes and buy your rate down with that. You know what I mean? Like that.
Absolutely. The point is, the metrics that bankers are using, liquidity, cash flow, net cash flow, just net income is not necessary. It's just, that's one data point, but that doesn't tell you everything.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the mortgage rules now, we have this thing called ability to repay, and we're looking at the net income.
Right.
Or I shouldn't say we. The mortgage industry and the bankers look at the net income because they want to make sure you can pay your mortgage.
Right. There should net income, but then they should be did you do any tax planning?
Right.
Net income, creative tax planning.
Yep.
Then you go, which creative tax plan did you do? And if the banker actually they don't understand.
They don't understand it.
That's what's going on. Right. That's what's going on. It's not that CPAs don't understand this. No one understands.
No one understands. Yeah. And we're just going with the rules that we've been put in place by Dodd-Frank and all these things, right?
Totally.
So that's why when we came up, it wasn't our particular idea, but when we started doing these products, the bank statement products, we can look at their bank statement and say, oh, XYZ Industries business, gross top line, $8 million this year. You may have, on your bottom line number, you didn't really pay much taxes. But we know that you put a lot of that towards expenses and you were creative using the tax code. But so we can look at that and say, well, we'll just take a 50% expense ratio. And then basically we're saying now you made $4 million as a 100% business owner. If you're 50% business owner, we're going to cut that in half again and say, oh, you made $2.5 million this year. And so we can qualify you on that to get you the mortgage that you want. Now, if you're looking at Bank of America, they're going to go, oh, your tax return shows. We're not even barely going to look at your business. We're going to look at your personal, which you didn't really bring any of that business income into your personal, and you wrote it all off. So we can't really get you any mortgage, And so it's like, doing this type of product is great for these business owners. But back to my earlier point, is they all get mad that they have to pay a little higher interest rate.
Yeah. Look, you know what? You're providing an awesome service.
But you got to teach them on why it's okay to pay a little higher interest rate, or to take some of that savings and buy down your rate.
That's why math's important.
Math's important.
Math is very important.
I did not like math. It's in school at all, but I did a little business math in high school, and because I was like, I can't do algebra, I can't do calculus, I can't do all these, different math classes. But I did business math, and I was like, oh, I can resonate with this,
right?
It's
important. It's important. It comes out every day and runs our world.
Yep, absolutely. So what are some misconceptions about taxes? Like, what do people just not, the IRS is scary. There's all these scams out there that say like, you get a letter, you get a call, like you're going to go to jail.
The IRS, just because you get a letter doesn't mean anything. The IRS has different kinds of letters. They'll send you, if you did something wrong, and they know it's wrong, they'll be like, you did wrong.
Sometimes they'll even just take money out of your account.
Yeah, there you go. Freeze your account. That was wrong.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll send you a letter, hey, we want some information.
Yeah.
Basically, that's when they don't have anything.
Right.
They're like, we don't like what you did. We don't really understand what you did. Can you?
Or it's different than you did last year.
Yeah. Can you send us video? Can you send us video of yourself going 60 in a 45 mile an hour zone so we can write you a ticket? Can you do that for us? That's really what they're doing.
Right.
They're like, we don't like this, but we don't really know what's wrong. Can you send us a bunch of information so we could find out what you did wrong? This is what they do, and people they just do it. They just do it because they're just. The bottom line is
they're scared. They don't know.
We have partners that have sued the IRS and won.
Yeah.
dominated in the IRS, they break laws.
Oh, I'm sure.
They're doing things that are not legal. Okay. So they have to follow laws as well, and they're being a little bit.
And they mess up.
And they mess up. And they're doing some aggressive things. So the bottom line is, the good news is we have the law. They have to follow the law. We have to follow the law. They can't make up stuff. We can't make up stuff. But there are things that you can do.
Yep.
So, it's not about getting intimidated by them. The key is just to arm yourself. There's two choices. Bend over, give them what they want, or arm yourself with really smart people, or a CPA that's plugged into an independent peer review community like ours, and let them find all the legal avenues for you. Yep. And that's what we're choosing to do.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's cool. Is that something that you're passionate about?
I'm passionate about, as men, we want to be valuable, right? We want to create some value, right? We're just like, it's ingrained in our DNA. Like,
it's a purpose. Yeah.
We're weird. We're like dogs. We're like, we just want to be, we want to be loved. We're kind of simple, So like, I was talking this to my son the other day, because he's, our kids are graduating high school, and it's like, you want to, talking about like doing what you love versus doing what makes money, versus doing what you're good at. And what I said, it's really tricky in life to like, just because you like something doesn't mean you should do it.
And doesn't mean you're going to make money at it.
Doesn't mean you make money at it. But like, my thing is, if you're doing something you're really good at that makes money, you will learn to like it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if you're elite at it, if you're good at something, you're going to like it.
And you're going to get value. You're going to get reward. You're going to get respect out of it. You're going to get value.
But liking something, I would put that as last. Following your passion you'll find that passion when you find that you're creating value, helping other people, and you're really good.
Because that's rewarding. When you get someone's like, dude, you really helped me, or thank you so much, I'm going to refer you. That's just so rewarding.
Feels good.
Yeah, feels good.
Just helping other people. It's biblical. It just feels good. So that to me is really why I'm passionate about it. Because we almost like, when we first started, we didn't, like when you first start you're following something.
Right.
And all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute.
I'm good at this.
This is good. Or there's something else here that we're really good at. Let's keep going.
Right.
It's like riding a bicycle. You got to just pedal.
Yeah.
You may not know where you're going, but go fast.
But it feels good.
Now it's fun. Now I can go all sorts of places. But unless you jump on there.
Yeah, you got to jump on it.
You got to take some action.
You do.
Get your feet wet, hurt yourself, make mistakes.
Yep.
Find something. And then it's really those three things. It's, what you're really good at that makes money, and then you're going to like it later.
Right.
Versus,
it's so true. I mean, my first passion was always music. So like, I became really good at guitar. I practiced for hours and hours and hours. When other people were playing Atari or Sega or whatever, I was in my room practicing like lead guitar stuff, right? Just over and over and over. I even got a job where I was working at a Shell station as a cashier, but I had my guitar. So when people weren't coming up to pay, I would just be practicing. Then they come, I put my guitar down, and I take their credit card and, pump number 6, right? But I was passionate about guitar. And then, I did a band, and I quickly realized I ain't going to make any money doing this. Like, I'm barely going to survive. So then I'm like, okay, I could have went out and created a guitar program and maybe been an entrepreneur with that and been passionate, but that's still a lot of work in it. And then you lose the thing that you're really passionate about, becomes a job, becomes hard. Yeah. Then you kind of like go, oh, I really don't like this, So that's, to your point, when you're talking to your son, it doesn't necessarily mean you need to go find out what you love and try to make money doing it. Maybe go find something that, you're really good at, and then let that sort of create the passion. Like
it's interesting, your story, because that you really are that guy. You literally, when I just said you are that guy, like, and when I thought was really cool being a trader. Like, I was reading these books about all these billionaire traders, market makers, market movers.
Money never sleeps.
I was like, oh my God, So in college, I was really good. I was really good. I sold books door to door, 80 hours a week, walking up and down.
Yeah. Have you read this book? Nope.
No, that's not what I was doing. But it was like, it was actually out of Nashville, a company called Southwestern Company would train all these elite college kids how to go and sell books. It was a very systematized thing. And I got so good at it, I was like, oh, I could do anything I want. I'm going to become a trader. Become an options trader. What does that have to do with selling? Nothing. So I became an options trader and all these different things. And I kept pursuing it. And I realized I was getting good at it, but I wasn't going to be the best at it. and then I went off the floor, and then I wasn't even elite. I was like above average off the floor trader. So I'm like, even though that's what I wanted, that was my passion. And I realized my skill is really talking. And I didn't like going and trading all day long and having
quiet,
a well, first of all,
it's brainiac stuff.
Well, you can, right. Well, you're trading, working, doing all this stuff. Next thing you know, you make a bad trade, you can, and then you're down money. So you spent all day working and you just lost money. I was like, this is part of my game. So then I realized if I shifted out of that into this world, I can eliminate that whole working all day long and then losing. I'm like, I just didn't like that idea.
Yeah.
So I moved into this thing, and I had to move you moved out of music and figured out something.
Yeah, I tried for a while, and I was just like, this is not fun. I mean, I want to do something greater. I want to be able to have freedom. And it was just like a grind to where, I could have maybe, who knows, 10,000 hours more, but when you start figuring things out, like mortgages, it's a pretty easy thing. It's you do a loan, you get paid. It's like you eat what you kill, right? So doing mortgages ended up being something that I ended up figuring out an angle or figuring out a way to be good and help people at the same time make good money. And that was like, wow, okay, I can do this, and I can really create a good income for my family and create a good life. And that was cool. Then the crash came, and then you're like, shit, I have no money. They just crashed. No mortgages, nothing. Then you're like, wow, you got to come back from that. You got to learn from that and create things that you can do that are sustainable, that aren't necessarily tied to the market that is completely out of your control. But, a lot of people listening probably are in this boat of like, I'm a real estate agent or something, and there's no listings. How do I make money when there's no listings? I mean, the listings are down, 100% from the year over year or whatever. So it's a hard thing to do, especially when you're looking at, we have sons that are graduating, going to college. Yeah. How do you even guide them when the world is changing so fast? And the thing is, you jump in, you dive in, you identify the issues, you identify the problems, and then hopefully you log in at your 10,000 hours that makes you this master of whatever your specialty is. Right. Excuse me. And in that process, you identify a problem you could solve, and you almost create your own niche. Yeah. But you need to have that 10,000 hours in there to master it before you can start to see those opportunities, Yeah. So the market's changing, the world's changing. There's risk everywhere. Yep. You got to attack it. The good news is our competition has the same challenges as we do. Yep. It's true. So your family also has another business that I think I tried the bar before I even met you, and GoMacro bar. And I know your wife runs it, right? Mm-hmm. It's your family business, but your wife runs it. And she, I think, saw a problem in the world, right? And talk a little bit about that. So I married a really acute school teacher, and her mom had a bout of breast cancer, and my aunt had cancer, and my aunt had like 6 months to live. The doctors gave her. But then she cured her cancer by stopping eating sugar and going on this macrobiotic diet. And so, which was like, wow, wait a minute. 2 years later, no cancer. Doctor said it was 6 months to live. What's going on? So we recommended the same group to my mother-in-law, put on this diet, no refined sugars, macrobiotic ingredients. She cured her cancer. So her mom, my wife's mom, started cooking cookies and pies and all these different things on our farm in Wisconsin. We lived in Chicago. I'd go up to Wisconsin. I'm eating these cookies, these pies made from these macrobiotic ingredients that cure cancer. Like, this is really good. And this is 20 years ago. Yeah. So I was like, wait a minute. This is, you guys should sell this. This is a great product. Yeah. And I'm talking to my wife and my mom and my mother-in-law, like on the farm, like, you need to sell this. This would be a great product, because she was losing all this money. It's your option trader's brain going. This was this was my trader mentality going, wait a minute, this tastes good. Opportunity. I like protein bars. There's only 2 or 3 protein bars out there. The power bars were like power bar. Yeah. I like power bars. I'm like, this tastes better than the power bar, but this could be marketed as this super healthy macrobiotic diet thing that cures cancer, even though we can't say that, right? Yeah, you can't say that. So that was in my head. So I'm like, we need to sell this. And we literally, in a matter of like, from the idea, like the first name was Macro Treats. I think Macro Treats.
Macro Treats was the name. So like we had this, it was like a 20-30 minute conversation that where my wife and my mother-in-law immediately were like, this is a great idea. Yeah. We're going to do this. I'm like, and I'm thinking, how the hell are you going to do this? Like, I know I just came out with this idea, but I'm like, I'm like, you need to do this.
Right. But now you're like, it's real.
But I'm thinking, and I didn't say anything. I was like, how are you going to do this? I'm like, I know this is a great idea, but like, can you guys actually do this? I'm like, well, this
is a big task.
But I'm going, what's the worst thing can happen?
Right.
My wife's going to make some phone calls and my mother-in-law is going to make some cookies over here.
Right.
So so basically my wife went to this local grocery store. She went up to the cashier. She's like, yeah, my mom made these bars. I want to sell them here. Cashier's like, you don't want to talk to me. You want to talk to the buyer. My wife's like, got to talk to the buyer. Literally had no clue.
Just learn it.
No clue. The buyer's there that day. She goes and talks to the buyer. Hey, here's these things. Oh, these look good. Why don't we place an order? If they didn't order, like she was in the car for 2 hours before she walked in. She was so scared. She's not a salesperson, but she went in there because she wanted to help her mom because her mom was lost half her money day trading in the market crash.
Yeah.
Keep boxing your microphone here. I think I'm losing.
You get excited.
I think I'm losing. So they bought the macro bars that day. And if they said no, that would probably be the end of GoMacro.
Wow.
But now we're doing over 150 million in sales.
So massive.
We have like 240 employees, 80,000 square foot facility. We have streets named after us in Wisconsin, the GoMacro way and all this stuff. And it's just started. And it's just crazy.
That's so cool.
It's crazy to see that business, and watch this. My wife was a school teacher making $40,000 a year running a company with 240 employees.
Man, it's such a cool story.
It's a crazy story.
So any other lessons out of that whole process? I mean, the first lesson was that they said yes, and that she had the guts to go ask, right? She did do the ask. You got to do the ask. But like you say that, I don't know, I would say if it was me, it wouldn't have been the end. Like if they didn't buy, I would have gone to the next one and the next one.
You would have.
I would have. So what are some other lessons that, because you glossed over a whole from like one employee to, would you say 100?
Building a company like that is so hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard. People come to us, hey, I want to talk to Yola. I want to talk, how did you do this? I'm like, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Like it's almost impossible. What we did is like almost impossible to do. There were so many challenges that were any one of those challenges could have blown it up.
Right. Do you feel like you had
we got lucky.
A lot of luck, a lot of timing.
We got lucky because we were able to.
There's a lot of health conscious stuff going on.
Like
over the last 5-10 years.
The timing. Okay, Yola called Whole Foods. She's like, can you help me fill out this application? I want to sell these products in Whole Foods. They're like, oh yes, no problem. We'll help you fill it out. Go call Whole Foods right now.
Right.
You're like, hey, I have a question about your application. I'm going to...
They're like, put you on hold for 2 hours.
You're going to be on hold for 2,000 hours.
Right.
No one's going to help you.
Right.
No one cares. No one, and it's impossible to overcome all that. Like, it's very difficult to be in that space.
Yeah.
That's why, like, if you go to Whole $, if you go to these health foods or any grocery store, our competition is all owned by the $2 trillion companies that own everything that's sold, packaged goods. They own all the packaged goods.
Right.
And to compete with them, to get the distribution, to get all those things, it's so hard to do. But we just got lucky that the product.
I think that means that you got to be early. You got to have a good idea, and then you got to be early, and you can't be afraid to go push it.
Yeah.
Early on.
You have to, right. Well, my trading experience taught me, because basically what happened was we made like 400,000 in sales, like in the first 18 months or something.
Wow.
And I was like, that's kind of a lot.
Yeah.
For packaging these things by hand.
Things. Yeah.
I'm like, that's more than I expected. And knowing as a trader,
I think we probably were about 20,000 of that.
I thank you. So as a trader, when you put on a position and it starts working for you, like more than expected, it's probably a good idea to add, unless it goes hockey stick like that.
Right.
So to me, for my trading experience, like, okay, we made more money than expected. There's something here.
Right.
And that gave me the confidence to support my wife for the long haul and just say, you know what, do what you got to do. This is going to be great. It's going to take a long time, but
it's cool.
It was good.
That's awesome, dude. I mean, they taste great. And you keep coming out with these new flavors too. And I'm like, Gotta try that one.
I mean, there's right. And I'm trying to keep my sugars down. Dude, there's a new flavor that's coming out that I can't. Like it's a white chocolate thing. I mean, it's crazy.
But there's not a lot of sugars in it, right?
There's not, but every time they come out with a new flavor, it has to be so good.
Yeah.
Like they don't want to put out a new flavor because it's a lot.
How much of it is like honey or like natural instead of like sugar, right?
They use maple syrup, brown rice syrup, so it's slow burning. It's not. There's no sugar.
There's no spike in your.
There's no spike in
whatever.
your insulin.
Right.
It's good. Slow burning carbs, but you can't eat a truckload of it because it adds up.
Yeah, I mean you got calories in it, and
to me, I use it.
But it's great on the go. You're hiking. You're on an airplane.
If you're active, any kind of athlete, you're skiing, all that stuff.
It's cool.
And I use it at like a dessert replacement. It's a healthy dessert for me.
That's cool. Yeah. That's cool. I always like to talk to entrepreneurs about failures because as entrepreneurs, we are, of course, built to fail and then go to the next failure without losing enthusiasm, right? So talk about a failure maybe that came across, whether it was your wife's business, your business, to where you just, that failure turned into something great.
Yeah. Failure is the key. Failure is the key. I've just have so many failures. I don't know which ones to pick from.
Anything that was a standout? Could have been in your trading days.
There absolutely. I was raising money to build a city in Panama.
Sounds exciting.
Very exciting. So we were so good at building family offices, making so much money. We decided we're going to go become real estate developers.
Build a city in Panama.
And build a city adjacent to Panama City. And we flew down there. I had all these, all this area under
developers, investors.
I had this area under control. We were working on the financing. And the financing involved us raising a bunch of assets and putting them into a bank in Dubai. And unfortunately, my partner, who basically stole a lot of money from me, stole these assets from me, and literally invested over 6 to 8 months of his time before he did this. Like
very calculated.
Very calculated.
Wow.
Taught me so much stuff. Became a part. Really earned my trust to the point where I was like, wow, this guy's amazing, and all these different. And it was literally like a crazy thing. So he stole all this money and these paper assets because we were taking gold mines, and we had a Leonardo da Vinci painting. It was worth $500 million that was assigned over to one of our companies. We own this painting that's sitting in a Sarasota vault. We were going to put the ownership of that into this bank and monetize these assets. Long story short, he stole all these assets from us. A lot of it's paper, some of it was cash. Mm-hmm. Devastating. Brought me closer to God. This file ended up on Hillary Clinton's desk. I went to the FBI, all these different places. No one found this guy.
Is he still on the run?
I have no idea.
Wow.
But this was many, many years ago. This happened in like 2008. And as a result of that, I built the Due Diligence Project.
Wow.
Where I was like, wow, I'm capable of raising all this money. I'm capable of doing these things. We really had trillions of dollars of in-ground assets, gold mines, all these things under control. It's crazy. Crazy. I mean, on paper, I was set for life. In fact, on paper, my family was set for life for many, many generations.
Wow.
All of it was taken away. But it showed me that even though I trusted this guy, I mean, he earned the due diligence. You're never done.
Right.
And so the Due Diligence Project of this independent peer review is something probably that came as a result of these different, as entrepreneurs, we're the biggest, we're such targets.
For sure.
If you're trying to build something that's big like that.
And we're optimists. You have to be. So you're like, this guy's going to be great.
Yeah, so there's all these amazing business owners out there, and I feel for them. And no one has taught us until it's too late.
Yeah.
When you
got to learn the hard way.
You got to learn the hard way, but you got to keep going.
Yeah.
So,
you could have been like, oh, now all this money's gone. But then you look at, you said this is 2008. So your kid, you had, Marcellus was probably like, 3 or 4 at that time. Maybe 2.
Marcellus was 2.
So you look at your kid and you're like, well, we got this amazing kid, you know, I
What's
got
funny-
something to build, and it doesn't matter.
What's funny is I've told Marcellus this story now, you know, as he's older. I'm like, listen, this is some of the stuff that your dad has gone through. But, you know, every business owner, every successful business owner has been hit many times with all sorts of tragedies, all sorts of failures that no one sees it.
Yep.
And that's just one story. I mean, I've got many stories, horror stories, stuff like just you have to learn.
Yeah.
You know, the earlier you learn, the more challenges you go through, the better, because they're out there.
That's why one of my favorite quotes is the definition of success is moving from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. Yeah. It's so true, because you could have been devastated and just, you know, went off to drink your sorrows away.
But the other thing is, like, it's like a golf analogy. Like, when you hit the ball out of the fairway, take the penalty, get it back in the game, and keep going. And do the right thing. You know, and that's what, you know, we've taken risk and we've done certain things, but we've always done the right thing and stood by what we did. Yeah, never running away from anything,
and you never know what could have happened to your family if you would have done this thing, and you know, you've been successful. You started a Panama City, and then all of a sudden, you know, have you ever heard of the parable of the Chinese farmer? This is one of my favorite things. I just heard this. So there's this Chinese farmer, right? And he's living out in outside the village, and he's got a horse. And one day the horse escapes from his little pen and runs off, right? And then so some of the villagers come by and they say, "Oh, that's great misfortune. You lost your horse, right?" And then he's like, "Maybe." And then the next day, you know, the horse brings back 4 other horses.
Oh yeah.
And now he's got 5 horses, and he puts them all in the pen. And then that night, the villagers come around. They said, "Oh, you have great fortune. All these horses came back." And he looks at him and he just says, Maybe. Then the next day, his son's out, you know, trying to tame one of the horses, and he falls off, gets kicked off, breaks his leg. You know, he's, you know, laid up in bed, and the villagers come around and they go, "Hey, you know, man, sorry to hear about your son. That's some bad fortune." And he says, "Maybe." And then the next, you know, a couple days later, the conscription officer comes by and says, "We are rounding up some of the young men to take them off to war. So, you know, we know you have a son." And then they look and they see his, you know, broken leg. He can't fight. So they leave him there. They go off, you know, the war. And then the villagers come by and they say, "Oh, you didn't have to go to war. You know, you have great fortune." And then the villager goes, "Maybe." You just never know what's going to happen. If you would have succeeded with this thing in Panama, who knows what could have happened with your life. And so you look at that and you go, you know, maybe that was a bad thing. Maybe it wasn't a bad thing.
Right.
You just never know. You got to go through life.
You're 100%. I mean, it's just trusting God's plan. Trusting God's plan for us. And
because we don't know.
We don't know.
We have no idea what one thing could lead to, you know, whether it's good or bad. You just don't know.
That's why, you know, you got to just like be humble, work hard, try to help people.
Yep.
Just keep going.
And be great. Have gratitude. Be grateful for what you have.
100%.
Look at the things in life that really matter, you know, like your family and just the people around you that love you and you love, you know. What's your biggest challenge right now?
My biggest challenge right now. Well, it's a great question.
Something keeping you up at night?
You know, my biggest challenge right now is just to keep going. You know, things keep me up at night is, you know, we've got a couple situations in audit. We hope everything goes well. We anticipate winning all these audits. That's part of the deal. You know, I feel very blessed. I feel like, you know, I'm at kind of a point to my life where it's like, okay, I need to almost set new goals for myself. Yep. Just refresh the goals, because it's like, it's been a great year.
Yeah, keep hitting goals. You got to make new ones, right?
It's been a great year. And so it's like, okay, now it's like, okay, let's just keep setting these numbers higher and more. And really, I just want to continue to provide massive value to our CPA community and continue being the leading organization out there in what we do. Yep. And continue to attract amazing CPAs, because I really enjoy the relationships. We're being introduced now to crazy family offices, super crazy billionaire family offices, famous people, and it's just such an honor to be introduced like that. That's and cool. We just want to continue to set the standard for what we do.
That's great. It's very cool.
Yeah.
How does someone find you?
duediligenceproject.com or vfohub.com. But
Awesome.
Alex Sonkin on LinkedIn as well.
And we'll put in the description, we'll put some links for everybody. Any shout outs?
Shout outs.
Someone's helped you along the way.
Shout out to FundLoans and GoMacro and Anthony Lombardi. Thank you for teaching so many people the system of how to help CPAs.
That's cool. Very cool. Appreciate you coming on the show, and finally we made it happen.
We made it happen. Thanks
awesome,
so much.
Yeah,
this has been awesome. Thanks so much, Jon.
And everybody, please like, share, subscribe, go follow Alex here, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks so much, guys.
Sweet.
The $1 Million Mortgage Experience Podcast.